Hey, folks, it's Nate. It's time I got back to the drawing board. Tonight, I wanted to talk a little bit about leverage. Now, it's said if you have a lever and a place to stand, you can move the world. And the interesting thing about levers is that the farther you are away from the fulcrum and the weight you're trying to lift, the better they work. And this analogy, I think, is apt, especially for indie creators who are looking to change the face of an industry. A lot of people are going to ask, if you want to make comics, why don't you work for the big two? And the answer is pretty simple. I'm not interested in anything the big two makes or how the industry has run under their guidance, under their leadership, if you can even call it that. They are quite content with the status quo that hasn't been very good for creators, for stores, for the industry, or for the medium. I am of the opinion that Marvel and DC are quite stagnant, and while steps have been taken to try and shake that up, some to greater success, some to less success. By and large, I don't think Marvel or DC are interested in changing up the way they do comics. And there's a market for what they do, but they seem to be trying to shrink it. And honestly, I think that even before the latest upswing in politics over story, DC and Marvel were quite stale. Your boy Zach points out repeatedly that there haven't been any big new iconic characters or storylines in a couple of decades, and that's not a healthy sign. So if you want to change all that, what do? Well, you don't run up to the problem and try and move it with your bare hands. You need leverage. You need a place to stand that's far away from the problem you're trying to tackle. And you need a fulcrum, and you need a lever. So for indie creators, the fulcrum is going to have to be social media presence. And I think that some creators are better at that than others. Like I am not going to lie, I am not a fan of social media. I don't like Twitter much. YouTube is okay. It's a good format for long form expression, which is I think a little more in line with what I like. But by and large, yeah, I've always been a fan of in-person communication, and a fan of writing as the ways I communicate with people. And neither one of those are super popular right now. But when you look at the situation we're in, social media is the fulcrum we have to use. And of course, the lever is your own ideas and your own quality. But you're not going to be able to just rush up to the big two and change anything that way. So if you're asked, why are you not working for the big two? That's something to think about. You don't make big changes from the inside. You make them from the outside with a lever. DC and Marvel are heavy weights. You can't just push them around. So on top of that, you have to position your lever very carefully. And you have to think hard about, how you're going to move that weight. Otherwise, it's just there's a risk it will shift and flop over on you. So what do you want to do? What are the changes you want to see in the industry? And a lot of people have said, well, we want better customer service. And absolutely, that's important. an audience is a precious thing. You cannot squander it. You cannot insult it. Um, in the modern day, there are a million and one avenues of entertainment, and if you insult your audience, well, they're just going to go to someone who won't. And believe me, there's always going to be someone out there with, a better offering, or at least a less insulting offering on tap. And that's who we're trying to be right now. All that's very true. But I think that there are other problems with the comics industry that need to be addressed. And we hear people talking about Diamond and the monopoly it has on distribution, and negative effects that has on publishers and stores. All well and good. I think those are big problems with the industry, but I'm not well equipped to analyze them or propose solutions. To me, I think another big problem with the industry is that it's become a little too married to its big names, and I don't just mean the big corporate names. I think after the big image shakeup, there was a retreat to what was established and what was safe, just so that the big two could try and get a hold of their branding, and they did an excellent job of that. That's not surprising. They're big companies with strong brand teams and clear directions. But they just by establishing and doubling down on their own properties and their own corporate identities, they've missed decades of innovation and movement. And I think another thing that indie creators really need to focus on as we start to try and really lever the industry in a new direction, we need to focus on new ideas and not just new IP, but different kinds of stories, different directions. Not every author has to have a shared universe and huge multi-issue runs. More one-shots or graphic novels would be good. Or limited run series. Cyberfrog is going to be 4 volumes in total, and of course, Uncle Lee is talking about doing other books, in between each volume of Cyberfrog. So he's doing Rainbow Brute next, so that will be interesting to see. But yeah, more ideas, more genres, and more rollover faster, I think, is another thing that we should aim for as we look to exert leverage. So yeah, just some thoughts on why I wouldn't be interested in working for the big two, and why that is, where I'm looking to go, that I don't think I could go, even if I was offered an opportunity to write a big name comic. I honestly don't think I would be offered the opportunity to draw, but there it is. So just a few thoughts for you there. Let me know what you think in the comments. There's a like button and a subscribe button down below. Use them as you see fit, and I'll talk to you later.